Hello, my name is Mark, and welcome to I Am Organic Gardening, located in Zone 6B, and welcome to my 10-acre farm and garden. And welcome to Part 4 update on my 2 raised wood chip beds that I mixed in the fresh wood chips into the soil, which you're not supposed to do, and also putting fresh wood chips on top of the soil and planting into it. Today is June 15th, 2018, and both these beds, that is separated by the shovel in the middle, on the right-hand side here, I planted that up with winter rye on May 5th of this year. And also, on the left-hand side, by suggestions of you nice kind people, I did a second bed of planting in legumes here, which I added sugar snap peas, and I planted that bed up on May 7th. So it's been about a little less than 6 weeks that both beds have been growing out here in our cool, wet spring. So let's take a look first. On our right-hand side, we have our bed that I planted the winter rye up into, in this raised bed, at least 8 inches tall. And you can see here that it doesn't look too promising at all. The winter rye is dying off. Now, we've had a cool, wet spring. It might be a factor, but I will say to you, and I agree with you, if you're saying right now in your head that basically that died off because it is tying up nitrogen. Those wood chips that you mixed into the soil, Mark, and also layer on top, is pulling all that nitrogen out of the soil and is killing off that winter rye, because only just maybe, let's say, a few weeks back, it was totally green and doing well. Now, what has happened in the meantime? Now, I would agree with you, but the main thing here that I want to point out is that I just took hard clay soil and mixed in with the wood chips, like I mentioned several times. I added no nitrogen whatsoever to the soil. I added nothing. I did nothing except add the wood chips. Now, it might have ran out of nitrogen that was in the soil. I don't even know if there was nitrogen in the soil ahead of time. So I can't say for sure that it tied up nitrogen. But what I can do now, and that's the purpose of these videos, is that I can go back in now and replant the seed and add a little bit of nitrogen, like say worm castings to it, and that's why I'm going to say worm castings, a very low nitrogen source, and see if the winter rye grows again. Because at this point we know, since this winter rye is not growing here, is that because there is no nitrogen in the soil. So by adding a little bit more nitrogen to it, we'll find out if it's really going to tie it up or not. So it's not really done completely yet. There's still more to go about it. But the best thing is about this is our second raised bed over here. By your suggestions, and I thank you so much for saying it, because I didn't think about it ahead of time, is that we have our sugar snap peas growing here in our raised bed. Same procedure following it, just 2 days later, and they are doing beautifully here. You can see, just amazing, those sugar snap peas. Now, why is it doing so well? Because it's a legume, and it can pull nitrogen out of the air and fix it onto its root system through the help of rhizobium bacteria and create its own nitrogen source and do well here. So, now, what do we say? Does wood chips, fresh wood chips, buried into hard clay soil with nothing else added to it, no other nutrients, just like on the right-hand side, and mixing it all in and planting this legume, that we have a very successful growing vegetable? And you can also see here that they're flowering very nicely, all those nice little white flowers there, and they will produce. So I want to share with you right now what I can kind of understand and what's going on here. Now, can we take fresh wood chips and mix it into the soil and layer also wood chips on top and plant something into it and not worrying about nitrogen tie-up? We have proof that we can do that. Now, we only have proof right now that we can do it with a legume because it's taking nitrogen out of the air. So we know we can start a garden that way, because also the wood chips are adding 2 things to the soil. It's not allowing that hard clay soil to become compact again. And each one of those wood chips, if you really look close at a wood chip here, and here's a large sample that we have here. Now, inside that wood chip, we have, what's important to any soil, we have small amounts of air in there, we have small amounts of water, and we have nutrients that is not available right now but will be broken down in the future. that is also helping our soil to grow. It is helping the microorganisms down below to get into this wood product and take out the air that it needs, because all microorganisms that host soil food webs needs air to live and survive down below, and also needs moisture. So those wood chips in the ground, as long as they're wet, is supplying that moisture and keeping the soil food web alive. But even the bigger picture now here is that I've been focusing on here about the nitrogen. Now this just reminds me so easily how gardening is and how beautiful nature is. Now, what about the other things you always hear about? When you talk about nitrogen, so we have the N, P, and K. What about the phosphorus and the potassium? Where is that coming from? We didn't add anything in there. We didn't change anything. What about all the other micronutrients that is added in there? So what I want to find out now, and that's why I have the shovel in the ground here, before I unearth these sugar snap peas, is the nitrogen being taken out of the air by that rhizobium bacteria that has infected the root to start growing nodules on the plant? Is that working? Is it on these sugar snap peas? So before I continue to look for the nodules, I have to point this out. Look at the color of the soil right now. And this has only been 6 weeks. Now, I really can't explain this. I'm not an expert. I just know what I see. And this is just, again, something that is fascinating. I will have to try it again and again and see if I get the same results. But you can see all in here, all the wood chips that are mixed in. And I thought this was going to be orange clay soil again. I did not expect it to be this, let's say, rich in color. Now it is wet, so it is kind of promoting the richness of the soil, but it's just, again, something I did not expect. So let's see if we can find those legumes. It's easy enough to peel these things apart. So let's get in here and break this up. Oh, there it is, right there. Let's see if I get a better shot. Look at those nodules being formed on their roots right now. Just amazing. Right here, these little bumps is nitrogen nodules made by rhizobium bacteria. Now, I'm pulling a lot of them off. Now here, look at this. Here's another unit, a bigger example of it on the longer root of it. Amazing. Let's see if we can get this off. And that's just beautiful nitrogen coming out of the air and fixing and making nodules onto the plant through the help of rhizobium bacteria. These are nitrogen nodules. Now, what's also I want to point out is how little nitrogen is needed to survive to a plant. Just those little bumps all over the place. It's not a lot of nitrogen being set onto those roots at all whatsoever. And if you think about it, how much nitrogen is really being produced? Now you can read all the scientific evidence and everything else too, but how much nitrogen is really being produced to make that plant nice and green? So we need very little bit of nitrogen in that soil to help our plants grow. It is really the soil food web, and again, taking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, having good drainage in the soil, having oxygen, and also liquid carbon to feed those plants, root systems, and also to feed the microorganisms inside the soil. That's the most important thing that's going on here. And you can see that we happen to help this by just adding fresh wood chips into the soil with our legume plants. So I want to thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed this. We went over a lot of things, and I hope I made everything clear. If you have any doubts or questions, please list them below. I'd be happy to answer all questions. Like I said, I'm just a farmer learning. I'm not an expert, but I also enjoy trying things and understanding things because it's going to help me to survive my farm in the future, to reduce my input costs. Now, I just enjoy this just as much as you, hopefully by watching it. So if you can, please like the video so we can share with other people. It helps my channel out. And again, I thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this. And please enjoy and have a great day. I will see you again shortly. Thank you.